Hey guys, it's Fightflow. One of the saddest cases in MMA has to be Zabit Magomedsharipov, no doubt about it. I mean, this guy literally went on a tier in the UFC, was a legit #1 contender, and then, boom, he was gone. What's the real reason? Only Zabit knows. But hey, we're not here to gossip about his personal life, we're getting straight to the action, because this badass skinny dude is the definition of a skinny beast. He looks like an easy target for bullies, but ends up being their biggest problem. Let's take a look at Zabit's craziest fights and most wicked knockouts before he became famous in the UFC and cemented himself as one of the sharpest and most creative strikers to ever step into the UFC cage. Let's go.
Справа через руку и удар дополнительный с левой и левой сбоку. Удар в подбородок. Вот это нокаут.
Let's start with a fresh and young Zabit fighting against Sergey Sakalov. And just look at that entrance before Zabit steps into the cage. I mean, even the UFC doesn't do entrances like that. And then look at Sergey's entrance. He comes in like a movie star, straight out of Johnny Cage's playbook. The real question is, can he back that up in the cage? The face-off between these two was a bit awkward. Sakalov was like, okay, so you decided against the handshake, huh? Your choice. The fight begins and both fighters feel comfortable standing. Sakalov controls the center of the cage, pushing Zabit back. A risky move against such a sharp counter striker like Zabit. And then, boom, check out that first combo from him. But Sakalov's face says it all. You think you scared me? Nah, you just made him more aggressive. So Sergey decides to show he can kick too, landing a body shot. But Zabit, being the Sanda specialist that he is, catches it and the fight hits the ground. Zabit tries to do some damage from the top. But credit to Sakalov, he defends well from guard. Then check this out. Both fighters go for heel hooks at the same time. It's like a staring contest, but with a little more damage involved. Zabit makes a smooth transition and manages to take full mount. He starts unloading with sharp slashing ground and pound. Sakalov tries to escape, but ends up giving up his back. That was all Zabit needed to secure the rear naked choke. Now look at Zabit, no wild celebration, just calmness and respect toward his opponent, like a true samurai. Now let's move on to Zabit's fight with Sarmat Kodov. Both fighters start the round with some kick exchanges, but Zabit is definitely the flashier of the two. If Sergey came out aggressive, Sarmat's tactic was the complete opposite. He chose to let Zabit work in the first round, planning to play his own game by countering and moving around. Early on, Sarmat also did some nice damage to Zabit's leg. After one of the striking exchanges, both fighters clinch up and Zabit trips him. But once on the ground, Zabit starts to land some real damage with those sharp, fast ground strikes. Essentially, that's the story of the first round. Zabit controlling from the top position and periodically landing solid shots. The second round kicks off with a crazy wheel kick from Zabit, just grazing Sarmat's chin. For the first half of the round, both fighters exchange powerful strikes. Each one could have easily ended the fight if it landed clean. But by the second half of the round, after another wild exchange, both fighters clinch up again, and Zabit takes Sarmat down with ease. This time though, Sarmat does a much better job defending from the guard, controlling the wrists and not letting Zabit land too much damage. Still, he doesn't manage to get back up by the end of the second round. By the third round, Sarmat looks significantly more tired than Zabit, and once again, Zabit's striking is crisp and sharp. But the highlight of the fight happens midway through the third. This is why you watch Zabit's fights. Just look at that spinning back fist, it almost sends Sarmat into another dimension. In response, Sarmat panics and starts wrestling, but for Zabit it's just another easy takedown. From there, it's the same position again until the round ends. Honestly, if Zabit had just stood up instead of staying in that position, he probably would have finished the fight, because Sarmat seemed completely wobbled after that punch. Anyway, Zabit confidently gets the unanimous decision. Now let's roll into the big leagues, the ACA promotion, formerly ACB, featuring the fight between Zabit Magomedsharipov and Artak Nazaryan. Both fighters enter the cage aware of the stakes. Artak tries to initiate action right away, but Zabit counters beautifully with a knee. Great timing. Artak managed to land a single leg takedown, but Zabit ends up on top. After some grappling, Zabit decides to stand up. Following the first strike exchange, both fighters clinch and Artak attempts a heel hook. At this point it's clear, Artak is desperate for any move that might win him the round. But still, Zabit ends up on top, dictating the pace. After a bit of passive work on the ground, the referee stands them up, clearly frustrated, saying, "Come on guys, we're not here for this nonsense, let's start doing some damage." The crowd waits in anticipation. Zabit hears the message loud and clear. He's like, "Alright, I'll show you some damage," and proceeds to put on a striking clinic, landing a knockdown by the end of the round. But Artak, ever crafty, tries to convince Zabit, "No need to stand up, you can finish me on the ground." Zabit, being a smart fighter, knows this fight is headed for a standing finish and doesn't fall for it. Despite Artak pulling guard, he's essentially conceding the round, just to avoid getting knocked out on his feet. Round 2 starts on the feet, and that's where Zabit shines once again. But Artak, desperate for a takedown, makes the fight as ugly as possible. He doesn't want to stand. But Zabit, sharp as ever, finds a way to turn the tide in his favor. As Artak barely stands up, still relaxed, Zabit times his move perfectly. And from there it was all over. Check this out, Artak clearly signals that he's done, but Zabit delivers a punishing body shot as a reminder for trying to make the fight so grimy. Next up, Zabit faces off with Mukamat Kokov. This face-off is awkward as it gets. The referee grabs both fighters like an older brother telling them, "Now if you two fight, fight fair." And just look at the referee. Yeah, this is someone for whom his job is his whole life. Mukamat comes out aggressive, working hard for the takedown, but Zabit's takedown defense as solid as it gets. After a massive effort near the cage, Kokov can't secure the takedown and ends up back in striking range. By this point, Zabit's striking is already as crisp as it gets. Counter punches, spinning back kicks, he lands almost everything he throws.
Выделяет очень Магомедшарипов этот раунд достаточно редкий.
Да, таким вот выглядит, как будто, знаете, дети разного возраста.
By the middle of the round, Zabit gets a takedown, showing once again why it's important to be a well-rounded fighter in MMA. At this point, just look at how desperate Kokov is, trying to land at least one punch on Zabit. How frustrating must it be to look so helpless in striking department.
Паня очень быстро, так мощно врывается на ближнюю дистанцию, проводит несколько ударов. Классическая, в общем-то, техника для борца, который еще и ниже ростом. Но сразу же Магомедшарипов отходит. Опять.
But Mukamat managed to get Zabit down, and for the rest of the round, it's a pure grappling battle.
Встает Магомедшарипов. Выводит рефери бойцов на середину. В общем, остается у них всего лишь несколько секунд до окончания первого раунда.
Round 2, Zabit lands some leg kicks, while Kokov stays smart and aggressive. Zabit managed another takedown early, but after about 30 seconds of wrestling, he lets Kokov back up, but lands a good knee.
Можно попытаться вновь перевести коленом просто.
From that point on, Zabit starts to manhandle Kokov, both in grappling and striking.
Отпускает он соперника. И сразу же Мухаммед Kokov идет вперед.
At some point, Kokov signals that his hand is broken, and the fight is stopped. Obviously not the ideal way for Zabit to win, but still, he came to fight, he was able to continue, and his opponent wasn't. A win is a win. Next up was ACB's tournament finals against Abdul-Rakhman Temirov, and also the #1 contender fight for the featherweight championship belt. As soon as the fight starts, Temirov straight away goes for the takedown. Like, what's the point of even trying to strike with him? My only chance is in wrestling. But Zabit knows that every fight his wrestling will be tested, because at this point he's already pretty famous, and everyone knows what his obvious strength is. They try to avoid it at all costs. But slowly but surely, Zabit works his way out of the clinch. Temirov really tries to time that takedown well, but it's perfectly stopped by Zabit. Still, Temirov doesn't give up quickly. He keeps grinding for that takedown, but Zabit's defense as solid as it gets. And you know what's the craziest part about Zabit? It's not his speed, not even his insane timing, it's his fight IQ, and how he can calculate those openings for finishes. At this point, he's using his opponent's relentless pressure for the takedown to set up a trap. Zabit grabs the neck of Temirov, and now you can see the Temirov thinking, wow, what a great chance for a takedown. But nah, that was a trap. Zabit instantly secures the guillotine choke, and that's a wrap.
Смотрите! Взял! Ой-ой-ой, вот это да! Специалиста по сабмишенам он Забит сейчас обманул и обхитрил. Да, это сделал! Это победа! Что-то невероятное!
Now, this next fight is probably my favorite of Zabit's career, because the level of striking technique he showcased against such a high-level opponent like Shikhmagomedov was insane. It was also Zabit's first championship fight, which made it even more special. Sheikh opens up with a kick, and right away, perfect counter from Zabit, followed by a hard spinning back kick.
Жестко навстречу поймал. И вертушка по туловищу.
At the second minute of the fight, Sheikh tries to get Zabit down. But just look at Zabit's balance. He defends every attempt to drag the fight into a wrestling match and works his way back up to striking position.
Магомед Шарипов потрясающе работает. Забит сейчас. Напомню, что Забит выходец из школы. Как раз, опять же, продолжает драться по профессионалам.
Да, вот попытка перевода в партер от Shikhmagomedova. Какая же защита у Забита, как же он устойчив на ногах, это просто...
Sheikh tries a wild kick, but ends up falling in the process. Zabit just lets him back up like, it's alright bro, nice try, stay in your lane though. Now look carefully, Zabit is measuring the distance, calculating his perfect shot, while his opponent is unloading those leg kicks, probably thinking, wow, I'm actually landing some decent shots on this guy. But Zabit's already reading him, and now it's game time. Zabit shifts into full calculated striking mode, landing almost every shot he throws, with precision and calculation.
Функционален на тот момент Марат Балаев. Он не уступил по функции. Есть попадание справа. Магомед Шарипов. И левый хайкик в область головы точно.
Сейчас начал двигаться.
Справа через руку и удар дополнительный слева и левый сбоку. Удар в подбородок. Вот это нокаут.
And the ending, crazy. Zabit is like, oh man, I already knew how this was gonna end. Poor guy, I hope he's okay. What an absolute legend. Arabkhanov is still out cold, like he's just been hit by lightning. Epic win, and now there's a champion's belt around Zabit's waist.
Сейчас уходит клуб Dogfights и непосредственно спортсмену Забиту Магомед Шарипову, великолепному бойцу, который идет победоносно, без поражений, серия побед и красивейшая.
Last, but definitely not least, the final fight in this video features Zabit taking on Brazilian contender Valdines Silva. This experienced fighter came in looking to take Zabit's belt and make a statement, but for Zabit, it was just another day at the office. At this point, Zabit was right on the edge of his UFC run, confident in his abilities and ready to face the best fighters in the world. But this fight, it ended almost too fast. Just 30 seconds in, Zabit lands a spinning back kick from hell that sends Silva flying.
Оба спортсмена заявлены как базовые ударники. Они не спешат, не форсируют события, хотя отличный удар с разворота нанес Забит.
From that moment on, Zabit wasn't playing around. His mindset, let's finish this quick so I can take a nap. He follows up with vicious ground and pound that shuts Silva's lights out.
Длинные рычаги у Магомеда Шарипова.
Входит мощными ударами и продолжает добивать.
как попытаться вязать соперника.
Да, в противном случае бой будет просто досрочно проигран.
Есть у него время даже передохнуть, подготовить атаку. Позволяет ему это делать Вaldines Silva. Все!
And the rest, history. After this performance, Zabit stormed into the UFC's featherweight division, then disappeared just as fast as he arrived.
Отстоял свой чемпионский пояс, победив в первом раунде. Давайте смотреть. Очень слабо.
Да, по-моему, первый же удар с...
That's it for this one, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more breakdowns like this. As always, stay sharp, stay motivated, and I'm out.